Yes, anarchists are often accused of being unrealistic or utopian. I think that's a good thing. I think that's exactly the point, that it's so easy to get caught up in a kind of political climate where we're told that it's, the end of history, the end of ideology, there is no other system but the sort of the liberal state. And in a climate like that, if being unrealistic and utopian is reminding people that actually there are alternatives, then I'm all for utopianism. What appeals to me as an educator is the way in which the ideas of an anarchist utopia, the sort of image of what a society could look like without the state and without the kind of political institutions that we're so familiar with today. The appeal of that is that these ideas are educationally hugely powerful, and in an educational situation when you're discussing things with students, if you're teaching about ideals of freedom or democracy, to present them with these kind of really radical challenges to mainstream ideas, I think can unleash a kind of creative thinking about politics, about the state, which in itself is really important, not just as an intellectual sort of imaginative exercise, but as a way of seeing what's wrong with a lot of our common assumptions about the way we need to organise institutions. So yes, it's utopian in the sense that we're presented with something completely different from what we have now, but it's not utopian in the pejorative sense of just wanting to impose some sort of crude form of social engineering or going against current human tendencies. That certainly seems to me an unfair charge that's been made against anarchists. It's not the case that anarchists have a naive utopian view of human nature. I think it's quite clear if you read the 19th century sources that social anarchists had a very realistic notion of human nature that was contextual, that people are not either, born good, as Rousseau would have us believe, or evil and essentially greedy and selfish, but there is no essential human nature. People become who they are within social contexts, and so if you design a social context that will enable the sort of positive side, if you want, of human nature to flourish, that's what will come to the fore, and that will then feed into other forms of relationship, which is precisely why capitalism is so problematic, according to Kropotkin, for example, because it encourages the negative, selfish, greedy sides of humans. And I don't think it's utopian to say, well, we do actually have it in us to design other forms of political organisation, other ways of relating to each other. And certainly there are social movements that do precisely that and that operate in anarchist ways and seem to be fairly effective, at least on a small scale, at achieving some form of political protest or change.